Welcome back. So now we can authenticate against the database, we can get some users. We've made a lot of the functionality, but we still get exceptions when we try to go to the home page and we're actually not logged in. We'll be told user was denied, you cannot log in because you don't have permission to access the data. Let's fix that. Let's say if you try to go to the home page or any page where you're not allowed to grab data yet because you're not signed in, just redirect people to the login page. That's all we have to do. So what we'll do is we'll add an Authguard, what it's called, that says if you try to authenticate or get to a page where you need authentication, I'll redirect you automatically to the login page. That's the goal. So what is an Authguard? Well, I added one under the auth folder here. I tried to add an Authguard TS file here, and it looks something like this. And Authguard pretty much just goes in and implements the can activate interface. And that means that it's going to test. We're going to add this in different areas before you can actually go to a route. We'll test it. So inside the routes, inside the app modules, we'll add Authguards in a second. You also need to make it injectable because we want to be able to use this as an injectable component or class right now. So what does the can activate? What do we have to put in there? Well, first of all, right now we need to inject the Angular Fire and the router to actually start working with this, because we want to say if we're not authenticated using the Angular Fire setup, we're going to redirect you using the router. So that's kind of what we're going to do here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start out by saying this Angular Fire auth just to get authentication, and then we'll take just the first one. We'll just take, you remember that observables can actually be multiple things that happens in a row, but we're going to grab the first one always because we're only interested in the authentication. And then we're going to map that state into, and this is a crazy one, we're going to map it into a Boolean value of true if there is an auth state. So what I try to do is try and explain to you why that is the case. The first part is actually this. We're saying if not auth state, then it would be true if there's no state available, right? But we don't want that. We want it to be true if the state is actually there. So we're saying not. That's just it. We're just saying not. It's not a crazy sign that you can use in TypeScript. It's just 2 times not available. So we're saying true if the state is actually there, right? So it's going to be not. Doesn't matter. We'll end up getting an actual authentication Boolean value because the first part here is actually going to return a Boolean value instead of an object. And we can say for that Boolean value, convert it into the reverse part. So if it ends up being true, then we end up getting false. If it ends up getting false, then we end up getting true, right? And if we are actually not authenticated, then redirect yourself to the login page. That's all I had to do. So now we have this available, and the next thing that I want to do is add it to our app module. So what we have to do is add the Authguard right here, like this. We always do that, and then we have to add it as a provider down here. So now the Authguard is actually available for use, and then the last thing we actually have to do is add it in here, just with adding the can activate for this specific route. Now notice I can just add it for any route. So this is possible to just add to routes as we move along. We'll move it again from the home component, but now you should actually see, if I save this, that we will be redirected to the actual login if we try to go into the home component and we're not logged in. So let's try and look at that. Let's go to the home component, and notice that I can't go there. I'll just be redirected back to the login page every time I try. There we go. Now let's try and log in just to show that that still works. Since we're logged in, now I can actually go to the page, I can actually show the users, and as soon as I log out, I can't go back to the home page again. We'll make a few changes to this in the next couple of videos, but let's just keep this for now. See you in the next lesson where we'll try and put some of the information into our auth service. Have fun.